of God. Draw near to Him, He is here with us. Give Him your love, 'cause He's in love with us. He will heal our hearts, He will cleanse our hands. If we rend our hearts, He will heal our land. So we sing for joy to God, our strength. Oh, we sing for joy to God, our strength. Yeah, we sing for joy to God, our strength. Oh, sing for joy to God, our strength, our strength, our strength, our God. More than oxygen, I need your love. More than life-giving food, the hungry dream of. More than eloquent word, depends on the tongue. More than a passionate song needs to be sung. More than a word could ever say. More than a song could ever convey. I need you more than all of these things. Father, I need you more than magnet and steel, drawn to unite. More than poets love words to rhyme as they write. More than the comforting warmth of sun in the spring. More than an eagle loves wind under its wings. More than a word could ever say. More than a song could ever convey. I love you more than all of these things. Father, I love you more. than a song could ever convey. I love you more than anything. Father, I love you I need you, Father. I want
Good morning, Urban Refuge. Welcome. So glad to have you here online with us today. I'm Pastor Andy, going to be one of your hosts today, along with...
And I am Ben Schinke, and we're so glad that you joined us wherever you are today. We know that doing church online, we try the best to stay engaged and connect with you. And so if you're brand new for the first time tuning in, we're really excited. So glad that you're here. We would love to connect with you as well as potentially share more information about what happens here at Urban Refuge and being a part of this community. So if you would, text 97000 and you're going to type the words welcome, you are, you, the letter U, letter R. Welcome, you are. We'd love to connect with you.
Yeah, and I want to encourage you, if you're maybe watching through YouTube on your television or something, why don't you jump online on your computer or on your phone, and let's chat it up today. Let's talk to one another, encourage one another. We really want to, again, foster ways that we can stay connected and engaged. It's always nice to drop a line to say, hey, what's up, or share a verse or something that's on your heart, a fantastic way to engage in the service. So go ahead, get that going. We'll have a couple more announcements. And I do want to talk, we have a little bit of a shift going on here. Ben Schinke has been faithfully, wonderfully, honorably leading our worship team for good many years now. What, 3, 4 more?
7.5.
7.5, yeah, exactly. 7.5 years. And man, you have just been a faithful brother in this, and we're so grateful for you. Ben's going to take a little step back from that. This is not a big crisis. It's not a big to-do. Just, the grind of ministry week in and week out, it can wear on you, and anytime it starts to feel like it's mechanical or just going through things, that can... it just weighs down the experience. I'm not saying that that's what it's been, but it's 7.5 years is a long time. So taking a little break is a good thing. What would you want to add to that, Ben?
Yeah, and well, thank you first of all for the great gratefulness, and I'm so grateful. I love every single time I get to lead worship. I love it, and it just reaffirms that I know what God called me to do. And listen, I don't want anyone's imaginations to run wild. Like, I'm not taking a break. There's no struggles at home. There's no strife. It's fantastic. I love being with, everything's great. Everything's good. But, I think that, God calls us sometimes to just focus and take some time to really focus on kind of where do you want to go? How do you want to move me to the next level in our own spiritual journey as a family? And so this is going to be a really great time to step back for a little bit, do that. Also, in the creative side of things, it's really valuable when you take a break to kind of just recharge those sort of creative juices and see what happens. And so,
Awesome. Rest is a very spiritual thing, by the way, and I'm thankful that you're going to be able to get some time to rest from that, but we really are thankful for you, Ben, for your family, for the sacrifices that you've made, for being here very, very early on Sunday mornings, normally, not when we're recording, but normally on Sunday mornings, very early, starting out, week in, week out. Just been incredibly faithful, and it's been a joy to have you lead us and lead our congregation in worshiping the King. So thank you on behalf of the whole church. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, one of our virtues here at the Urban Refuge is living a connected life. And of course, we strive to do that with one another through small groups, and we'll have those kicking off again after the first of the year. But also, we believe that it's really healthy for churches to be connected around the Twin Cities, even beyond, around our country and around the world. Being online at this period of time, I know it's not as great as being together. I would love to be with you all here today. But one of the good fortunes of being able to, be disrupted here a little bit is we have a friend of mine, Pastor Tommy Wesley is here this morning. He's going to be leading worship. He's a pastor at Mercy Vineyard up on the northeast side of the Twin Cities. He's been on Sankofa with me a few years ago. Just a delightful man of God, and I think you're really going to enjoy the worship today. So we're grateful for him, grateful for the greater church here in the Twin Cities. So come on, church, let's worship.
Step down into darkness. Oh. am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're mine, God. You're altogether lovely. You're altogether worthy. You're altogether wonderful to me. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Yes, God. Higher than the mountains stand I face, stronger than the power of the grave, constant in the trials and change. One thing remains. One thing remains. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. Your love never fails me. Your love beginning and the end, beginning and the end. The Godhead three in one. Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. Is our God, yeah, and oh, we see how great, yeah, how great, hallelujah, is our God. Come on, let's say it again. How great, how great, how great, how great. Ain't nobody like him nowhere. Our God, oh, how great is our God. Oh, the world. How they gonna see how great, great, great is our God? Yeah, yeah. He's the name above all names. Let's say that. He's the name above all names. He's worthy. Set my heart will see. He's our God. We're gonna say it one last time. like that. Is our God. Sing with me. How great. Don't forget it. He's a good God. And oh, we'll see how great. Oh, they need to see it through you. How great is our God. So how great. Give me another beat there. Here's our God. Sing with me. How great is our God. And oh, we'll see how great. How great is our God. Oh, yeah. Hallelujah. Good job, guys.
Okay, that was fantastic. Man, that guy can sing.
He can
Without a
some
doubt.
pipes.
I mean, how great is our God? That is fantastic. So listen, thanks so much for worshiping with us. We want to talk about a couple of things that we have coming up. And one of the things that I have been blessed and fortunate to kind of help partner with is, even before I take this break, is Christmas Eve. I love Christmas. I'm super excited about where we're going with the Christmas Eve service. But we are really building a Christmas Eve service that you can take and you can use it as a tool with your family, and you can have Christmas Eve with your family, with your extended family. Listen, this is our plan in our family. Like, I have family members in Wisconsin. We've been praying for them a lot. And we've already talked about, like, we're going to launch a Zoom. We're going to watch, and we're going to take the Christmas Eve service together. And we're praying that the gospel message is going to be shared with them during this holiday season. So there'll be more details coming out, but we're really excited. It's just really going to be something that you can use to, and you might be able to do Christmas Eve night. You might want to do it Christmas morning. There's going to be a lot of flexibility in that. We just really want you to be able to use that to have a fantastic Christmas.
Awesome. And there is going to be kids involved in that. So it'll be fun. And I really think that you'll enjoy that time. I want to remind you and encourage you to dig into the Urban Refuge membership partner. We've talked about that for the last few weeks, and we have some things coming up that will be important for you to be involved and engaged in that. And that's basically becoming a member. We call it membership partner because it's a little more descriptive of what we're getting at. We feel like we're partners in the gospel, but we're members of the whole kingdom of God through Jesus Christ. So membership partner really is fitting here, and you can go to theurbanrefuge.com/ You Are Virtues, or You Are the Church, rather, and you'll be able to find out all the information about that. Please consider taking time to read through those things, think through those things, and join us as a partner here at the Urban Refuge.
Hey, Andy, let me just jump in really quick. Reminder, too, that we did a series talking about that. You can always visit the Urban Refuge YouTube and go back and take in those services again and kind of rehear some of that messaging.
That's right. Awesome. Thank you, Ben. And we're going to get to today's message here. Pastor Chad is going to be sharing this morning. We trust that you'll be blessed by the word. Let me pray here for a moment. Father God, we appreciate you so much. Your kindness, your love, your mercy for us. It never runs out. You are a great God and a mighty Savior, and we are thankful for the Spirit that's indwelling in us that calls us to worship and to learn. And part of our worship is singing and praising. Part of our worship is hearing and listening. And I pray you'd give us soft hearts today, eager to listen, eager to hear from your Spirit to ours. God, we know you can do that. We know you want to do that, but give us listening ears. Open our ears, open our hearts, that we might know you better and understand, God, what you want us to do in this life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Do I truly believe God is good all the time, and all the time God is good? Or is he simply good and simply God when he aligns with what I desire? My challenge for you this week is to put yourself in positions while you're praying, while you're reading your Bible, to not simply hear the answer that you want to hear or get the direction that you want to get, but to be open to experiencing and encountering God for who he is. For who he is. for who he is. The reason we walk away is because we encounter him in a way that doesn't reflect who I want him to be. And so I chase after something more comfortable, something more convenient.
All right, good morning and welcome to the Urban Refuge. My name is Chad Altman, one of the pastors here. And this morning we're going to be talking about monotony. We're going to be talking about weariness, and we're going to be talking a little bit about waiting, all kind of meshed in together. We'll be looking at a text found in the book of Luke, chapter 2. And of course, we watched that little clip from last week's message with Jonathan Sutton. And I really appreciated the challenge that he gave us when talking about our will versus God's will. And it made me think of the Lord's Prayer, where Jesus teaches us to pray, your will be done on earth as it is heaven. And I think at times we can pray, my will be done right now because that's what I want. And I thought it would be a good thing to reissue that challenge, because I think that if we don't acknowledge that we have the propensity to do that type of thing where we want our way or no way, and if God's not going to do it, then I'm not sure that I actually want to follow a God that's not going to do the things that I want. I think we have to be honest with it, and if we're honest, we can acknowledge it, and then we can walk back to him. But if we don't, I agree with Jonathan in his summation of that. That's why we walk away, because we want our will to be done. So that was great. Thank you, Jonathan. All right, so today we're going to be talking again about monotony, waiting, weariness, and I want to just start off with a way of encouragement. And the way of encouragement is this: the dawn is going to come. It's going to come. We've been living in 2020, and it has been dark and weary and full of challenges. That is for sure. But the dawn is going to come. The Psalms tell us that, though there's sorrow in the night, joy comes in the morning. And we need to remember that there is a future joy. I mean, as believers, as people that are learning what it is to express and live into the kingdom, we need to be a people that acknowledge that no matter how long it takes, we are always moving towards a great and final hope. And that, of course, is found in what the kingdom expresses, where all the tears and all the hurt and all the things that are so challenging right now will all be eradicated, and we will live in the city of peace, Jerusalem. I mean, that's what Jerusalem means. Jerusalem, the shalom, is kind of the root behind that. So anyways, that's the little boost of encouragement before we get into this, because I do think that we have been in this time of this time of monotony, of just doing the same things, going to another Zoom meeting. I go from the kitchen to the couch, to the couch, to the kitchen, to my bedroom, and it's just kind of like this monotony, living in the same space, doing the same things over and over again. And if we live inside of monotony in our faith too much, we can grow weary. And all of us are in a state of waiting. We're waiting for God to do something. We're waiting for the government to do something. I mean, we're always just waiting these days. And in the waiting, we can lose hope. It's the text tells us that hope deferred makes the heart sick. And I think some of us we're getting a heart sickness because we're just waiting so much in the monotony of life that it becomes wearisome to us in our lives. So anyways, before we get into that, I want to share a story that happened to me and my son Cohen when I was given the opportunity to take a sabbatical. Now, I was given this opportunity, and I just want to express how grateful I am that I was given that opportunity. I know that there were many that had to cover the duties that I usually was responsible for and am responsible for. And I want to just say thank you so much for allowing my family and I to take a break to rediscover what it is to hear that whisper of God's voice. Really appreciate the space to allow us to go through that, and I'm really grateful. So thank you. Now, on the sabbatical, I was like, I want to go to the mountains because I'm told that I'm nature smart, which just basically means I like being outside, and I like climbing mountains. I think the mountains are amazing, and at times it's very challenging living in the Midwest when the mountains are so difficult to get to. But I asked my son, I'm like, hey, do you want to drive out to the Sierra Nevada mountains that's next to Yosemite National Park? And do you want to go on an adventure, on a hike? And my son was really open to it, my youngest son, Cohen. And so we did that. We got in the car, we drove down to Utah first, did some hikes down there, and then drove up to the Sierra Nevadas. And we were going to do a number of different hikes, but the big hike that we were going to do is this Ray Lakes Loop. It's 42 miles long, and there's some significant elevation in climbing. And when we got there, I first got out of the car and I looked at where the beginning of the hike was, and I was overwhelmed a bit because it was, a significant climb right out of the bat. But I'm like, hey, this is an opportunity of a lifetime, and if others have done it, we can do it. So we're there, Cohen's there with me, and we're getting ready to go. I'm a little intimidated, but I'm like, hey, this is what life is. Life is often like hiking. I mean, there's climbs that you have to do. There's rocky ground at times. It can be steep. It can be challenging. You have to carry stuff with you. We're all carrying things with our past and all sorts of different things. So there's all these metaphors that I learn that I believe that can be learned by going on these hikes. And this one was no different. Because as we climbed, it gets steeper and steeper, but there were views along the way. And I see this inside of faith all the time. I mean, often it's like a lot of climbing. It's really challenging, difficult. But you look out and you get these vistas and these perspectives, and we have these moments where I get to feel and experience the kingdom. And I just get so excited about that it makes me want to climb further because I want to see more of the vistas. I want to see more of the perspective. And so I go a little bit further, and Cohen and I are doing that. We get to this part, and we look out, and it's just absolutely stunning, beautiful. It's over the top. But Cohen begins to get a headache. I believe he got some elevation sickness. And so he's not feeling real well, and we get to 12,000 feet, and then we begin going down, and his head starts to hurt, and we have a long, long hike still ahead of us. And we're going down and down and down. And we had started at like 6 in the morning. And at about, 4:30, 5 in the late afternoon, Cohen is just really tired. Now, let me say this about my son quickly. He struggled on this day. And I had to kind of, get us to this point. The rest of the time, he was truly 16 and I was truly not. And he was a total rock star. So yes, he struggled, but he was an absolute rock star. And that happens in life. Sometimes you're just walking and sometimes you just get sick and the tired too. And those rocks that you're walking on become monotonous. I mean, when you're just walking on the same trail for hour after hour after hour, and it was fun in the beginning, but now it's starting to get to this point where you're like, I just want to be done. And even this shot here next to this waterfall, I mean, it's pretty epic. It's cool. I mean, we saw that almost 40 miles. I mean, there were these waterfalls all over. Well, at this moment when you're tired, you don't care that you're looking at something so beautiful. You're just tired. You're sick of it. I'm sick of walking. I'm sick of stepping on rocks that hurt my feet and all of that. Well, we got to this point where we were going, and Cohen's like, Dad, I just want to be done. I just need to be done. I'm hungry and tired and sick of this. And I say, Cohen, as soon as we find a flat spot, which we couldn't find a flat spot, we will make camp there, whatever we find, because we just never seem to be able to get to the actual campsite. And so we're walking, and then finally I find this relatively flat patch of ground. It's not the campsite. We weren't supposed to be there, but I'm like, hey, he's done, I'm done. We're gonna camp right here. And so we put our stuff down, and I start like moving twigs and all these kind of things. But in the back of my mind, I start thinking, no, I think rest is a bit further along. I think we gotta go a little bit further along. And so I say, all right, Cohen, you get something to eat, get something to drink, start eating, because, I mean, this kid's got like 0.5% body fat, and I don't. And so, he's got nothing to run on except the calories he's putting in his body. So he takes a break, and I go up another 50 yards. That's all I got to go, is 50 yards. And I get to this campsite that is really nice. I mean, it's flat. It's just perfect for us. And in that moment, I thought, that is so like life. We're going along, we're seeing vistas, there are things that are beautiful, but the ground is rocky, it's challenging, it's difficult, it becomes hard, and sometimes we just want to give up and stop and just camp. Doesn't matter where it is. Doesn't matter if that's where you're supposed to stop. We just want to stop because it gets monotonous. We're tired of waiting for the stop, and we've grown weary as we've gone forward, as we've tried to just follow the trail the way it is, and we just want to stop. And in that moment, I realized where I was in my own spiritual well-being. I realized that I wanted to stop, but God hadn't really brought me and hasn't brought me where he wants to bring me. And that's a challenging place to be. And it's also a wonderful place to be because we can find a great deal of hope knowing that there is a place where God is bringing us. But my will and the things that I wanted, the things that Cohen wanted, we just wanted to stop. We just wanted to stop. So today I want to look at two characters relatively quickly, and I wondered how their lives were as they lived out their faithfulness serving God the best that they knew how in that time. The two people that we're going to look at is Simeon, and Simeon is a priest. He's been a priest that was given a promise. Now, we don't know when this promise was given to him, but many speculate that the promise that he would see the Messiah, he was given that promise when he was a younger man. I like to believe that, and there's reasons why I believe that, but the text doesn't specifically say that the promise was given, but I think it implies, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The other person that's right next to Simeon is this lady, Anna. Oh man, you want Anna as a part of your congregation. She is just something special of a person. She's a prophet, and I believe that she was given a prophecy about the Messiah, and she was living into waiting for that Messiah to come. Of course, that Messiah is Jesus. So anyways, let's go back to Simeon. That's found in Luke 2, verse 25. And what we find out about Simeon is that Simeon, he was righteous and devout and was eagerly waiting for the Messiah to come and rescue Israel. Did you catch that? He's eagerly waiting. Now, if he was a younger man when he was given the promise, and we will see this in a moment, that he would see the Messiah, can you imagine, as a younger man, going to the temple over and over and over again? I mean, many of us have gone to the Urban Refuge week in, week out, week in, week out. Same things kind of happen, just waiting for new revelation, for new responsibilities to be revealed, all of that kind of stuff. Right? Simeon is in that position. He's going to the temple. He's being faithful. He's devout. The text tells us that he's righteous. And then it tells us that the Holy Spirit was upon him, that he's being guided to go forward. And maybe he doesn't even understand why. Maybe he's a bit confused why he's being propelled to go forward. But then it says this. The Spirit had revealed to him that he would not die until he had seen the Lord's Messiah. Now there it is. That Spirit had been revealed. Now when was it? We don't know. But again, I'm going to kind of go with this idea that it had been revealed earlier, and we'll get to that in a moment. And then in verse 27, it says, that day the Spirit led him to the temple. So he gets up. He's maybe thinking, all right, this is just another day. I got to do my normal routines. I get up, I eat breakfast, I do the things that I've got to do. But the next thing he knows, he's being propelled, he's being moved forward by the Spirit, which is a really cool thing to think about. And he begins to go forward. And the next thing he knows, he runs in to Mary and Joseph, who had they had come to the temple to present Jesus, as was required by the Torah, that they had to bring Jesus to the temple. He is the priest at the temple, and now those two worlds are going to intersect, and his world is going to be rocked. And then in verse 28, I thought this was really interesting. Joseph and Mary bring him to the temple, and then it just says, Simeon was there. Now, here's the thing that I was thinking about. I was thinking about, what if he wasn't somebody that was used to being led by the Spirit, being used to pressing on? Maybe that day he first woke up and he didn't want to go to the temple. Maybe he just wanted to find a patch and kind of create camp and just stop. Or maybe he wanted to do that, but he said, no, something's propelling me. I mean, when I wanted to stop, I had something, I felt like the Spirit was saying, Chad, I want to teach you something. I want to show you something. I want you to go forward. And it propelled me to go another 50 yards. Maybe Simeon wanted to stop that day. I'm speculating. I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of how life is. Many of us want to just stop. We just want to stop. And maybe we need to re-examine our heart. Maybe we need to ask for the Spirit to propel us to go forward, because maybe he wants us to go just another 50 yards. And in this, the perspective of all eternity, right? When we think about what life is, if we're lucky, we live 80, maybe a little bit longer. But gosh, and then it's over. That's just a small little sliver of what eternity is. That's just 50 yards. Maybe it's less. And then we have all of this hope that we live into. We don't live in the time of monotony and the darkness. The dawn is coming. It's just a matter of time. And the dawn has arrived for Simeon. And he gets to take Jesus into his arms. And then he says this, and this is what makes me think that he's an older man and he was given the promise as a younger man, but this is just me. In verse 29, it says, Sovereign Lord, now let your servant die in peace as you have promised. That's where I started thinking about how Simeon had been this man that had been living inside of a promise. We have all sorts of promises. And we have promises that Jesus has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. He's still with us. He's still with us. He's still leading us. He's still guiding us. But the monotony of life has maybe made us a bit weary. Maybe we're just sick of the waiting. Maybe we just want to create the patch in the ground and just kind of camp there for a while. Friends, it's maybe just another 50 yards. I don't know what that means, but maybe it's just another 50 yards that we got to walk, and we're going to find the place that he wants to bring us. We just need to go a little bit further. So, verse 30, Simeon says, I have seen your salvation. I've gotten to witness it. I'm so glad that I got up and I went to the temple. I didn't give up. So that's Simeon. That's some perspectives that I've thought of in recent days as I've studied these texts with some friends in a study that we're doing. And then we have, of course, Anna. She's a prophet. And she, I believe, has been given the prophet that she too would see the Messiah. Now, these texts are like right next to each other. And it's like Luke really wants to make a point to show that these two people remained faithful. They have just such a small little section inside of the Bible, right? I mean, these are not a lot of verses. To live your whole life being faithful, to just get this one small little section. But I want to suggest that from their perspective, their waiting and faithfulness proved to be worth it. The dawn did come for them. So Anna's a prophet, and she was very old. The text tells us that she's 84 years old. Now, what's interesting is that she was married at a point. She was married most likely at 22. Let's say that she got married at 15. That's culturally around that time, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later, but somewhere. So let's say she was 22. Now, the text tells us that she has been living as a widow up to the age of 84. Now, geez, that's unbelievable. If she's really been doing this for roughly 60 some odd years, that she's been now living in faithfulness for 6 years. Now, what has she been doing? It says this: she never left the temple, but stayed there day and night, worshiping God with fasting and prayer. Now, did she ever leave? I think the text is trying to make a point here, that this lady is devoted. Now, did she struggle with monotony? I think so, because she's a human being. I mean, as much as she loved to pray and fast, were there ever days in 60 some years where it gets monotonous? Did she ever have the temptation to create a campsite, not go the full journey after 60 years? I mean, at 22, you go another 38 years, right? You're 60 years old, and you still have another 24 more years of going to the temple day and night, fasting and praying, believing in hope that something is going to happen. Of course she struggled with waiting. Of course she struggled with weariness. Of course she struggled with monotony. Just the monotony of just doing the same things over and over. She's a human being. Now, maybe she filled her days by serving people and she had a life full of joy. I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt. And I'm sure she was given all sorts of revelations, all sorts of vistas along the trail, if you will. She got to see perspectives, but there were days where she had to climb those mountains. There were days where the path was rocky because she's a human being. Of course she struggled. Of course it was difficult to fast when all she wanted to eat were donuts all day. I mean, of course. Then the text tells us in verse 38, it says, she came along just as Simeon was talking with Mary and Joseph. Now, I was thinking about this a bit, and I was thinking, what if that day she decided, I don't want to do it again? I just want the day off. I just don't want to go and pray anymore. I've prayed and prayed and prayed. I've fasted and fasted and fasted, and I'm just tired of waiting. I'm 84 years old. Can a lady get a break? But she goes, no, maybe another 50 yards. Maybe just one more time. One more time. I'm going to walk just a little bit further. And then she sees Mary and Joseph, and she sees Simeon, and they've known each other for a long time. I mean, they've been talking about how salvation is going to come, and maybe they talked about how both of them had been given a promise. I don't know. And maybe both of them had to encourage one another as they waited, and the weariness, and the hope, and the monotony. And they had to say, no, we need to hold on because it's coming. We both were given a promise. She sees Mary, she sees Joseph, she sees the child, and today she knows. She knows that today is the day she's been waiting for. Because what we find out is that it says, and she began praising God. She maybe started thinking, I'm so glad that I didn't, just give in to my will. I'm so glad that I didn't just make camp and stop going forward. I'm so glad that today is the day that hope is revealed. Today is the day that we can remember that we live into a hope. We live into a hope. And that Jesus is coming back to rescue us, and he's, of course, rescued us by paying for the sins on the cross, but we are not left alone. But it can get monotonous. It can get weary. And I can get tired of waiting, just like anyone can get tired of waiting. But friends, the dawn is coming. The dawn is coming. I know it's coming. And maybe I'll be 84 when it truly comes, but it's coming. And I want to live in that hope. I want to believe that God is not done at all with any of us. And I'm not suggesting that you're not believing that, but I want to encourage you to reamp, to recommit, to say, no, maybe I've made camp. Maybe I need to walk on that hard, stony path a bit further, because maybe God is bringing us somewhere that it's going to be unexpected. Because I don't know. I mean, they were living in expectation, but maybe they weren't living in the expectation that it was going to happen that day, and then it happened. I think that's really neat. I think that's really, really neat. But the text tells us she went out and she talked about the child to everyone who had been waiting expectantly for God to rescue Jerusalem. And so as I read that and I thought about the Urban Refuge, I thought of being a bit like Anna. I thought, I want to live my life where I'm telling the Urban Refuge and telling people to say, no, hold on, let's go a little further, because rest is coming. It's coming. It might not be for a while, but it is coming. Let's push a little bit further. And I want us to remember that we're waiting expectantly. We're waiting not because we're just praising the air. We're waiting and we're hoping because we know the promises are true. He's coming back. He's not left us. And he's given us the Spirit to lead us to the next step. It's so hard, though. It's so hard. So if you're someone that is just sick of the monotony, I get it. Me too. If you've grown weary in the monotony, I get it. Me too. And if you're tired of waiting, I get it. Me too. Keep waiting. Keep waiting. There's a great deal of hope. There's a mountain of hope. All we have to do is begin climbing. God bless you, friends. Let me pray. And I'm not sure at this point right now if there's something after me, but I'm going to assume no. And then if there is, bonus. All right. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to share. I thank you for that. I pray for anyone listening to this message right now in this virtual world. You go way beyond the internet. You go right into the very heart of a person. And so we ask that in our waiting, that we would be waiting expectantly in hope, that there is a mountain of hope to climb. The dawn is coming. It's just a matter of time. And we're going to trust you. We're going to trust you to bring us to the ultimate rest. Pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen. God bless you, friends.
All right, thank you so much, Chad. What a fantastic message. You know, we come into the season of Advent, which is really waiting and just that anticipation, and it's just such a great reminder, right? We can wait in great anticipation for the King who's coming, and thank you, Chad, for sharing that this morning.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us for worship today. We appreciate you. We love you. We trust that God will bless you and make his face shine upon you this week. Have a wonderful week, Urban Refuge. God bless you.
Take care.